President Trump meeting with Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill at this very moment. The president, though, earlier today saying that there are currently two policies in place for families trying to cross the border. Either release all the immigrant families and minors who show up at the border, or arrest the adults for federal crime or illegal entry, but the president now he's saying, listen, he's got a solution that he wants to keep the families together. Let's take a listen.
What I'm asking Congress to do is to give us a third option, which we have been requesting since last year, the legal authority to detain and promptly remove families together as a unit. We have to be able to do this. This is the only solution to the border crisis. We have to stop child smuggling. This is the way to do it. And ultimately, we have to have a real border, not judges.
Here to discuss, Michael Waltz, an attorney, immigration attorney for Melania Trump and family, also former federal prosecutor, and Nick Adams, the Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness founder. Nick, you're recently a recent minted American who went through the process of doing it the legal way. You understand it, all the hurdles that are involved in this, and you've been pretty much outspoken on it. But we're in a very dicey situation where the country is appalled at the notion of families being split apart, and yet Congress can't seem to find a solution to it.
Look, it's heart-wrenching, it's gut-turning to see all the images and vision that's coming out from the border at the moment, Charles. This is a really difficult issue, a very emotional issue, but at the end of the day, this is a country with borders, and we need to make sure that our laws are enforced. We need to make sure that people realise that there aren't going to be any exceptions, that we're really serious about border control and about making sure that we get to choose the people that come to this country and the circumstances under which they come. And recently that hasn't been the case. I think that this is tough love being exercised. I do love the solution that our president has put forth. He gets better every single day. It's amazing. That third option is the best option. Let's detain the family. If they've come illegally, let's detain them as a unit, as a whole. And if so, if they need to be deported, let's do that as well.
Now, Michael, of course, there is the asylum issue, right? This is what the controversy is. And the Trump administration, beginning yesterday with Christian and Nielsen, pointing out how over the years the system has been gamed, that the smugglers and everyone else, they've learned how to game the system to the point where people come in, and eventually they don't show up for court dates. Eventually they just kind of stay here. And this is one of the reasons why the problem has mushroomed.
Well, thank you, Charles, for having me, and congratulations, Nick, on your becoming an American citizen. I had the privilege of doing Stuart Varney's citizenship about a year ago, just for transparency's sake. You never forget that day. Look, there are people that game systems throughout the universe, believe it or not, other countries, and I understand the argument that people resent children being used as a shield to get a predicate status in the United States. And why can't they apply for asylum in a neighboring country, Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala? In other words, they're closer nations where they would firmly resettle. If they're really out of harm's way, then they should settle there rather than coming in for economic gain. The real issue here is the legal migration systems are so backed up, Charles. The employment-based ledger, the family-based ledger, even the investments in EB-5, where somebody can buy a green card by putting $500,000 or $1 million into a green card. If you're a Chinese national, it's going to take you more than 5 years. It's not practical. The whole notion of chain migration being a dirty word has deteriorated. But the truth is, family reunification and the notion of workers in America, whatever station in your life, if you're pulling blueberries in Georgia or if you're working on Wall Street with an H-1B professional work visa, they need to make sure that the system is robust and fluid. We don't have that.
We don't have that right now. So what's the answer? Is the answer, though, to break the rules? Or should there be a sort of a sense of urgency in Congress by both sides,
Absolutely.
both political parties, to fix this?
Absolutely. There are 4 laws that are being promised now. Each one is worse than the other. Unfortunately, the solutions that Congress is trying to, they're gaming the system right now. They're playing politics with people's lives. This president right now is taking the letter of the law more than any other president in our nation's history, and he's splitting families. That's not an optic that we want to have. But there are ways to achieve what we want. Look, it's a crime to enter the United States illegally. but the maintenance of your status in the United States in that status is not an ongoing crime. Right now, it's like the two parents that are fighting, and they've created a system or an environment where they can't even get to the table to fix it. The kids are watching their parents. Charles, our kids are watching how we respond to this. We fought pirates in the high seas. Our founding fathers never shut America's golden doors. It needs to be hinged open with vetting and proper judiciousness.
Right. Well, you know, of course, Nick, today President Trump did talk about the notion of adding more judges, but I think he's looking at it from the bureaucratic aspect of it. I believe a lot of people agree that we have a messed up legal immigration system, although that does not necessarily mean that people should break the laws or that we should give up or subordinate our right to control our own borders.
Charles, it's certainly true that right now it's really, really easy for bad people to get into the United States and very, very, very hard for good people to come to the United States. And thank you earlier, Michael, for your kind words. I went through absolute torture to get my extraordinary ability green card. It took 4 years. It cost close to $50,000.
Right.
It sapped all the emotions of me, my family, everybody. There was nights of uncertainty, and it's very frustrating for somebody like me.
Well, Nick, I've got to wrap this up. I've got to wrap this up. But do you like any of these 4 bills before we go that are being presented? Michael doesn't think any of them are really going to be the answer.
Look, I think any bill, Charles, that makes it much easier for good people to come to the United States and much harder for bad people to come to the United States is a bill that I would support.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much.
He paid way too much for his green card.
Michael said see him next time. If you want to lose the accent, he can help you with that.
That's right.
All right, folks, we'll be right back.